In Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero in the back. Madison, Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit back, relax and vibe with us. Special guests every time here to discuss. Bring your passion, come along for the ride, and don't forget to subscribe, cause...
Hello, ladies and gents. Yes, Hollie's Hotspurs Live is back. I am in the seat tonight. Luke did an amazing job last week, but I'm back tonight to discuss with these three wonderful guests that draw at the Emirates. And I think I speak for everyone that we are buzzing. So further ado, we'll go around the table and invite everyone. So Connor, it's great to have you back on the show. How are you, my friend?
It's great to be back. Yeah, I'm good. As we were saying before, I'm so buzzing. Like that's a result that is that, you know, you go into work Monday and you're just still feeling good, and I'm feeling good. You know, it would have been better if we won, but I'm happy. I'm good.
It is a very good feeling, to say the least. I'm also joined by James. James, I'm very sorry I butchered your lyrics in Switch at the weekend, but how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. No, you didn't butcher it. You've done well. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I didn't. To play the way we played is for me the best bit. I know Ange said before, didn't he? Said if we get a performance, then that's what he's looking for over everything. And the fact that we kept the way we was playing and shut Paul Merson up for me was the biggest thing. So.
100%. I think that's definitely a tick that everybody wanted to cross off in their box. And also joined by Josh. Josh, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, doing well. It's nice to go into work on a Monday morning with a load of Arsenal fans who are giving it all that. And yeah, let's just say quite a few words were said at the start of the day.
Can imagine. Get it all out of the system to start with, and then just soak it all in when they haven't got a comeback to come up with. But yeah, we have got so much to discuss tonight. Before we do, I just want to say a big thank you to Derek again. I think over the weekend he became a member, so thank you very much, Derek. If you are watching, thank you, mate. And without further ado, let's jump on in, because I'm going to start with you, Connor, because going into this game, I wouldn't say I was confident, but I think it's the most ready I've ever been.
Yeah, I think that's sort of a product of what Ange just built in the first couple of games. You know, I keep saying to everyone, let's not get too ahead of ourselves because it's, you know, 5-6 games in the season. But for him to have changed the mentality of the team straight away and us to have this, you know, I keep thinking about the Sheffield United game, you know, like pure just fight, wanting to play for the manager, playing good football. And yeah, I think we were going into it saying, you know, we could get something here. And based on the previous other seasons where we've gone to the Emirates and we've sat back and it's been depressing football. We were like, you know, like James said, if we're going there and we're actually playing Ange's style of football, which he's made clear, then we've got a chance. And we did exactly that. Yeah, it was a good feel before the game, and it's better that it's an even good feel after the game.
It is. I like that kind of journey for once. But James, I want to come to you because obviously you mentioned in like the bit at the start about the way that we went to approach this game. And for me, like you said, it's the way that Ange stuck to his morals and like, no, we're going to play this way because this is how I want to play. How did that kind of make you feel?
Yeah, that's the bit I'm most proud of. Like again, I touched it earlier with Merson saying that if we do that, we get slaughtered. But we all kind of knew, didn't we, that wouldn't be the case. I think the Spurs fans were quietly confident that they would turn up and play that way again, and that shows everything. We're 6 games into his regime. He's changed, like Connor just touched on there. He's changed all the mentality of the players, which is not an easy job. Like the Conte and Mourinho couldn't do what he was doing. Do you know what I mean? And that for me was the biggest takeaway from it. I think the first 15-20 minutes, it felt a little bit, maybe this isn't going to be, we're not going to go for it, a little touch of that. But after that, and the second half especially, the thing is, they'll talk about injuries and stuff that they've had, but didn't they always call us a one-man team? And that one man weren't there, and we still turn up away from home, and statistically was better than them. For me, yeah, it's amazing. The performance itself, though, is the biggest thing for me.
Definitely. And I think that's quite funny, actually, because like you say, they're all mentoring this injury thing. But it's almost like they're picking at straws now, because obviously it hasn't gone the way that they wanted it to go, which yeah, is quite nice.
And squad depth as well, wouldn't they, loads? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Exactly that. And like, Josh, I'll come to you because obviously we've spoken about the way we played. And the thing that made me as well kind of happy at the way Andrew approached it was like, he's just going to throw Johnson in. I think he said pre-match was the fact that it's a great initiation for him. I think it's the way he worded it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I was a little bit concerned before the game started in terms of how we were going to break those lines, because obviously as we all know, Arsenal is a team with immense quality, and they've got quality in so many areas. It's the first time, we're playing Arsenal where, last season they're obviously very good, but it was probably certainly in my mind, the first time we were going to them, and I was thinking we are definitely not favourites for this game. They are streets ahead of where we are right now. And for Johnson to come in and provide a different attacking threat, because that was my worry, was, are we going to be too focused on going through Madison? And with the midfield quality that Arsenal have, are they going to shut that down? And then where do we go from here? Because that was, I think, where we struggled maybe a little bit against Sheffield United. And for Johnson to come in, he was just a bundle of energy, and he was unlucky. I mean, he scuffed one of the shots, and he was involved again, being in and around the area, getting free in the build up to that first goal from Sonny as well. So it was great to see him in there. I don't think he was probably ready for the game, although I like the fact that we gave him a go. I do think that perhaps he still needs time to settle in. You can't expect him to hit the ground running necessarily straight away when it's a very different level for him, I think, compared to Nottingham Forest. But I think just generally, the fact that we had 6 players that had never played in the fixture before starting the game, and only, I think, 2 players in Sonny and Romero that started the game last season at the Emirates, it just kind of shows how far we've come as a team, how far we're developing, the fact that this is just the beginning of the project with Ange, and we've seen all of this change. Players that, and I was worried for the likes of Sarr and Udogie, who are obviously young players, very, very talented, but how are they going to cope with a game like this? Because Man United weren't the Man United we were kind of expecting them to be when we played them at our place. And to go to Arsenal, you're expecting a really, really hard game. You're expecting to play, this is one of the top 2 teams in the country, and if not one of the top teams now in Europe. So for them to all step up and show that fight and that willingness, especially Udogie, who I think struggled a little bit at the start, gets that yellow card early, but to not get himself sent off, to actually do a really good job of neutralising Saka, particularly in that second half. I was delighted, absolutely delighted with the application of Johnson and all of the players that had never played in the fixture before.
And actually, that kind of ties into the next question I'm going to pose to James, because obviously that was a big battle, I think, that everybody was kind of looking forward to in terms of Saka and Udogie. And I think going 15 minutes in and getting that yellow card, were you kind of under the illusion that maybe this is a bit too much of an occasion for him? But like Josh said, it kind of grew into him, if that made sense.
Yeah, I was at the Beehive watching it, and the first thought was, oh God, like 75 minutes against Saka and on a yellow. I thought Saka would take advantage a bit more, but I think Udogie was incredible. There was a guy that plays at Stadium as well called Jamie, and he said to us, he said, no, he plays better once he's got a book, and he changes his game, but he plays better and he's more focused. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, I love that. And he said, Andrew was saying about just how young that team is as well. How good is that? Like we haven't had that for a long time. I think the back 4 are just all really young, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? I love that. And we just signed some 15, 16-year-old unit who looks 22 to come in 2025 as well. And we've got a few coming through the youths. And watching that defence go from what we had last season to this, that's so refreshing. It's been amazing. I don't know if you've caught any of the sort of under 21s and under 18s stuff as well. And they seem to play a similar way. Maybe they've had it instilled in them that if you want to get into the first team, you need to be playing this way. And yeah, it all just seems to be mashing going the right way for me. And yeah, I'm very impressed with how Udogie handled that. Very mature.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think, like you said, it's now that this kind of football has been flown throughout the whole club. I think previously they did try and play that way, the under 21s and the younger teams, but obviously there was no progression into the first team because we had the likes of Conte ball and Mourinho ball. And now, like you said, it's nice that it's finally clicking. It feels like we're heading in the right kind of direction. But Connor, sadly, obviously the ball didn't head in the right direction for Romero for the first goal. And obviously I think Romero's got a little bit of slack in terms of, did he really need to put his leg out? Because I don't think Saka's shot was going on target. But for you, do you think Romero was solely to blame for that goal?
I don't blame Romero at all there, to be honest. I think at the end of the day, he's trying to stop the ball. In my eyes, you stop that goal by you don't let Saka have that much space. We all know how good Saka is. You close him down. You don't allow him the space to do that. So I think it's very unfair on Romero. To be fair, Romero as a whole had a really tough game. Obviously, when you think about the penalty as well, I know we'll probably get onto that. But I think despite those two things sort of going against him, he still held his ground very well. I think, and I know this is another point, but I just love him and Mickey next to each other. I cannot say enough words about Mickey van der Ven. I love this guy so much. But yeah, I'm the interesting thing with Romero is as I say, we're 6 games into the season and he got his first yellow card yesterday. And that already says to me, Romero is a very different player. It's almost like, there's that clip going around on Twitter of, I think Emerson was fouled and he was going to square up to a Sheffield United player and Romero's the one holding him back. And you're like, what? That's not Romero. What's happened here? So it tells you that Ange has maybe said something to him. He's maybe changed him. I think he's adapted his game and he looks better for it. He's less rash. And again, I know it's early days, but it just seems different. And I think in my eyes, it's very unfair to blame him for that goal. Because as I say, when all you're trying to do is block the shot, it's just unfortunate it goes in. We all know how good Saka is, so don't let him have that space.
I think that's the most infuriating thing as well for me as well. Like you said, it's the amount of space we allowed him to have. I think that infuriated me more than Romero sticking out his leg. But luckily for us, Josh, obviously there was a few incidents where it got a little bit hairy before we managed to get the equaliser. Obviously with the Madison kind of opportunity where he gives the ball away for Jesus to try and track him down. So in that kind of sense, I know hindsight is a beautiful thing. But say Jesus manages to get that shot on target and doesn't sky it, could we potentially be talking about a different game now?
I think it's game over, frankly. As much as I think this team's got a lot of fight, Arsenal at home, 2-0 up. And I know this is a fixture that's always been a comeback fixture. I think there's some crazy stats about it that came out. But at the same time, given the quality that they have, you would assume at least, who knows what will happen. It's all kind of, a scenario that hasn't played out. But I guess for me, at least, I wouldn't see a way back into the game if you're 2-0 down, because, they're a pretty quiet lot until we come to town and then they all of a sudden care. And, it was pretty loud when they went 1-0 up. And so, it's one of those that, especially when you've got so many young players like that, then you do ask the question, okay, well, if you're 2-0 down, how are they going to cope? How are they going to respond? So I'm just glad that, we equalised at a great time, I think, in the first half. And then second half, obviously, equalised so quickly afterwards. But I think just generally, this is a little pattern that's nothing to be too worried about, I guess. But it's a little pattern at the back that we're seeing, and we've seen probably in every game so far with Spurs, is there's been one or two little ropey moments and we just about get away with it. I think there was one moment in the second half where Van der Ven looked like he literally glitched the way he controlled the ball and could have very nearly given it away.
Long legs, man.
And then he somehow recovered the ball like it was nothing and turned and ran about 25 yards forward and played a lovely pass. But, you do run that risk playing this system. And, in a game like that, obviously you can't make mistakes. So, yeah, I think we're just lucky that Jesus did sky it, and he's not really of the level that I think Arsenal would look for in a striker.
Definitely. And I think the funniest thing for me, James, coming to you, is when obviously going back to the first goal and Saka obviously scores a deflected goal and decides he's going to whip out the James Madison dart for James Madison to go down the other end of the pitch and absolutely skim him.
Yeah.
So for you, what did you kind of make of that obviously little transition of play for Sonny's goal, and also the fact that it was just the kind of banter that those two kind of had?
That was well. As soon as he did it, again, the people I sat with in the pub said that's going to come back to haunt him, because that is straight away. The players will know of that, especially by half time. So yeah, I think that we were singing a song that I can't sing all the words for. I don't know if I bleeped, but you can stick your darts up your whatever. And the whole crowd was getting behind that, and that we could sort of feel a moment off the back of that, I suppose. And if we're like that, I'm sure the players would have been, hang on a minute, he's taking a piss here. We've got to turn this around. So yeah, I think he almost put fuel on the fire for us doing that. The other thing is, he's probably thought, this is what I'm going to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to do this if I score. and now he's doing it for an own goal that was going wide. So that's just embarrassing, but it's also Arsenal all over, isn't it? Just, you know what I mean, getting it wrong when they're trying to look cool. But yeah, the equaliser was amazing. Yeah, I loved it. That reminded me a little bit of the was it Udogie to Kulusevski? That one as well, similar to that goal we got. Yeah, the place just erupted. I purposely wore a black Spurs top because I just knew he was going to score a few goals and really covered in beer and just never feeling get pain. So that's how confident I was.
Love that. I mean, I need to try that tip. I think I need to wear that next time I'm at the Lane, because that is actually a good point. But Con, obviously, James has said about the goal. I mean, playing Sonny through the middle, I think Angie's got a little bit of a predicament now, because obviously we all love Richarlison. I think losing Ivan Perisic is probably going to be a big blow for Richarlison, especially with those crosses coming in to go on his head. So for you, going forward, obviously it's going to be a big question. Is Sonny the man to play through the middle? I mean, he's proved that we know he's got that scoring ability, but he was in the right place, right time for both of those goals, and they were exquisite finishes.
He is, quite simply, yes, purely and solely, not just based on the Arsenal game. I think the Burnley game spoke for itself as well. He looked happy there. You know, I'm not going to lie. We all know last season on the wing, he felt isolated. I know he said he was carrying that injury, so he wasn't himself, but he's just reinvigorated in that role. So I think Ange can't drop him from that role at all. I think it's working, so why change it? In terms of Richie, it's a tough one because, like I say, we all want him to do well, and I'm so impressed with, you know, when he come on against Sheffield United and you change the game effectively. So I think by leaving Sonny in the middle, it's hopefully, you'd hope that the Sheffield United game sort of belief will stick with Richie and he'll know that he can play that role. Because for me, he wasn't effective on the wing last season when he was, because we're trying to force him in and we can't do that. So I think across the season, maybe we'll change it up a bit. You know, I mean, we don't want to burn Sonny out. So we might have games where we are going to drop Sonny maybe to the wing or even just rest him and put Rich in the middle. But I think why change it? It works, you know. I mean, it's gutting about Perisic because he was really starting to be that effective player off the bench. And you do worry a little bit in terms of, you know, if Udogie gets suspended or carries an injury, who's really going to step in there? I mean, is Cess... I mean, I know it's crazy saying that name. We haven't heard him for ages. Is Cess an option again? You know, Emerson on the other wing. You know, there's all sorts of question marks there. But no, for me, you keep Sonny there, and then you evaluate as the season goes on. Because I keep saying this as well. Like, we are buzzing and we're so happy, but you know, we're not going to go the whole season unbeaten. We're not. We're going to have games where we do lose or we drop points. So I think we need to look at it and see that across the season he is going to change that system. So for the time being, no, it's working. I love it. Against Liverpool, I want Sonny in the middle without a doubt.
No, definitely. I think you make a great point there. I think it depends again on the opponent, because we haven't changed our style of play. It's just personnel, I think. And I think Ange is well, he's the right man to obviously decide when and who to play different players. But I'm going to come to you, Josh, because obviously we've spoken about the first two goals and the second goal and the whole VAR controversy and the handball rule. I swear to God, it's every other game that we're talking about VAR and handball. I mean, for you, is that handball or is that very, very harsh on Romero?
Look, there's a couple of points to make, which is essentially, if that's a handball against Romero, then why on earth did Man United not get a penalty for handball against Romero? Which was from a further distance than that. It's just the rule, though. It's a terrible rule, but the rule is the rule. It's, you know, clearly, you know, and I listened to Dermot Gallagher talk it through on Sky Sports News today, and I was trying to gauge it, and I was looking at the rules myself, being a right little nerd last night, trying to work out, you know, what is going on here. And, you know, it is handball, unfortunately. But the rule itself is a load of trash. And the reason why I would equally make the case it's not handball is the fact that fundamentally these referees, depending on who it is and what mood they feel in and how attention-seeking they're feeling that particular day, will interpret the same thing completely different way. Was it clear and obvious? I'm not sure. You know, think about the amount of times that they took to look at that incident, because the wait was, it felt like forever. So if they're having to look at it that many times, is it clear and obvious? I don't think so. And if they're having to look at it that many times and then send the referee to the monitor, and the referee then had to look at it several times, no one's really sure there. So, you know, unless it is clear and obvious, and this is the thing, maybe they just need to rewrite the handball rule. And I know you can always say that it suits your agenda to say that, whatever it is, right? Every team in the country will be in this situation at some point this season. Every team will be on the receiving end of it. You know, it's just, I suppose, poetic justice, I guess, that what happened just seconds after the goal when Saka again was busy throwing his darts, you know, but and I think the fact that it was an ex-Chelsea player in Jorginho as well makes it even sweeter. But yeah, I mean, the rule's the rule. I don't like the rule. I don't think anyone likes the rule, but we can only play to the rules that are given. But I think just more widely, the standard of refereeing, when you think it can't get worse, it does get worse every single season. And I think that, you know, we do have a massive refereeing crisis in the Premier League. These referees are not up to standard. You know, you find in so many European games where the standard of refereeing is much better. So yeah, it's a big problem, but you know, of course we're going to have complaints on the day, but upon reflection, I think we have to just kind of, it's BS, but what can you do?
I think that's the thing, because even last year, the year before, we were discussing it loads of times on the podcast. And James, it's just like Josh says, what can you do to change it? Is it rewriting the whole rule? Is it just having to put up with it? Like, what can you do from it?
I think the biggest complaint, I suppose, from any football fan is just the lack of consistency. That is it. But I just don't know. But I also got to admit, I don't know how you get around that problem. I don't really know. Like, there's so blurred lines on it. So I don't know. Like, I know it has to change, but I can't see. There's always going to be like the blurred lines with it, isn't there? Is that a handball? Is that not a handball? Is the arm natural, unnatural position and stuff like that? I think it's always going to happen. I saw someone put didn't Ange say about armless defenders or something, and then someone comment underneath. We said, well, we had with Conte we had armless defenders. Do you know what I mean? But for me, like, I just I think you'll never really get to the complete bottom of it and please everyone. I can't see. I mean, if we've got all these cameras and all this technology, and we still can't get it right, I think that's always going to be open to interpretation, which is going to cause discussions ongoing. Anyway, I don't know how you, but what Josh is saying, I think like it'll all find its way back round, and every team's going to be like on the receiving end of it. So let's just hope it works itself out, starting against Liverpool.
That would be great. Definitely like one of those. And talk about working things out. It was good that karma came, like Josh said, with the Saka throwing his darts again. And I know Josh has mentioned it slightly, but with Jorginho mucking up a little bit, which is someone you wouldn't expect to, with his experience, to do so. So that was a great run, wasn't it, from Madison to win the ball off of him when he's sleeping, and then find the ball to Sonny once again.
Yeah, that Madison Son link up is something else. Honestly, to think that it's like they've been playing together for years. They're like, you know, we had it with Son and Kane, but they are just so like, it's hard to explain, but it's just lovely. It's just, it's weird because, you know, what we were, you know, was talking so much about Kane and how much it hurts and this, that, the other, but you just feel like the level of joy that we've got at the minute is something that we didn't feel like, I didn't feel like we could have this soon after Kane leaving. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just an incredible link up, and they both read the game so well. And again, we've said it for so long, Madison is that player we needed. It's just painful that it took that long to get him. But yeah, I just love the freedom that Sonny's playing with. It's beautiful. I'm going to say quickly on the handball as well. I think, yeah, Josh, you're 100% right. James, you're right as well. I think it solely is just the referees. The way these games work, we spoke about it a lot. It is based on who that referee is, because another referee is doing that game and it's not penalty, but in my eyes it is a penalty because it's in the line of the goal and there's nothing he can do about it, and it's harsh and it's awful. But if it was our perspective, if it was the Lieber handball in it, we'd be saying the same thing, saying we want it as well. So it's a rough rule, but it goes full circle. That's just how this league is, unfortunately. Most expensive league in the world, and we still don't know what we're doing.
I know, it's crazy. And I think the infuriating thing is, like we've all kind of said, if it's not clear and obvious, why are we taking 700 years for it to be a decision or not? I think that's the thing that winds everybody up. But yeah, the link up between Sonny and Madison, I mean, Josh, I think we could speak for hours upon how good Madison really is coming into this side. And like Connor said, he's just taking this team to, I mean, I know there's lots of players that have really elevated their game, but bringing Madison in and him fitting in so well is just incredible, isn't it?
Oh, it's just nuts, isn't he? I was never a Madison fan before we signed him. I always used to dislike him a little bit, like every other fan of other teams seem to. But my God, is he a likable guy as well? I just like the way he talks. I love the way he plays. I mean, I could go on for hours about how he plays. I mean, he's so graceful. The way he moves on the ball, his vision, his clever runs. He is single. I can't remember who said it. Someone said it. One of the pundits said that one player has single-handedly or fundamentally changed the whole way in which we play, and I completely agree. He has. But it's just everything about him as well. And I think actually how well-spirited the whole thing with Saka was, because it was a bit annoying, but you could like almost... I wasn't that annoyed because it was like I could almost tell that they'd obviously discussed it, and I probably wouldn't have been surprised if Madison had scored, if he would have gone and run to the corner and held the corner flag and done what Saka does and all of that type of thing. They probably discussed it beforehand, but it's his movement, it's the pockets of space that he finds, it's the fact that now we can play with a system where Sonny can get in behind, and we were complaining for ages, although Kane was scoring all these goals, he was always deep and there was no one in the box. I'd love to know how many of our goals this season have been in the box compared to outside the box, because it's got to be most of them have been in the box. I know there's been a couple of Romero, and maybe that's it. Is Romero Madison against Burnley? Those may be the only two that I can think of. And then the rest have all been in and around between the penalty spot and the goal. So it just shows how we're approaching those attacking situations. He's been brilliant. He's just been brilliant.
He is incredible. I think he's definitely, obviously, like Connor said, obviously losing Kane and then seeing a new man with number 10, I was a bit like, oh, this seems a bit too soon. But you know what? I'm here for it. But obviously, I want to talk about how the fact that we managed to also kind of compose ourselves, sort of. I know I wasn't composed for the last kind of 20 minutes, James, because my word, I was incredibly stressed and we somehow managed to hold on to it. But it just shows, again, with this resilience in this team, that we will go on and fight to the end.
Yeah, we saw it against Sheffield United as well, obviously, didn't we? I mean, like that, it didn't help though. And being sitting there and watching that last 20 minutes, seeing 10 minutes go up as well, it's just like, you're just knackered at the end of it, isn't you? It's just, even just watching it, you're absolutely knackered. Your body's in a stressful position for 100 minutes. It's a lot for a human to take. It's I don't enjoy the game. I must be honest. I don't enjoy the game. I can't wait when it's over. I was like, well, okay, we've got another 5 months of normal football now. Thank God for that. Because there's so much riding on it, I suppose, as well. And especially this season, it felt like Tottenham fans knew to a certain degree what was going to happen there, and you could see all the bad talking and from those guys, and it kind of puffed out your chest even more. You kind of knew. And I'm so glad that they delivered that. But yeah, the last 20, I mean, them corners coming in at the end didn't help me. That was my nerves. Like, do you know what I mean? I was saying, come on, Jesus. But Vicario was brilliant. And I think that having that trust in that goalkeeper, like the last sort of few years, I think Hugo Lloris was to blame for quite a lot of the Woolwich goals, to be honest. They're going through his hands and stuff, wasn't it? So, and that save from Jesus at the start did help calm my nerves. And I thought he was brilliant again, Vicario.
No, I'm glad you mentioned Vicario.
No, honestly, he's dived full length in it as well. Just he was brilliant, man. So that did help, but yeah, still, it's extremely stressful for 100 minutes.
Honestly, I was pacing up and down. I think the last time I felt like that was in the Ajax semi-final. I think I was pacing up and jogging and stressing and everything. I think that was the same kind of vibe. But I'm glad you mentioned Vicario, because there was a lot of talk, obviously, at the start of the season, Connor, that he wasn't really potentially going to be the man that could fill Hugo Lloris's boots. But I think he's definitely cemented 100% his space in this Tottenham team because of that performance at the Emirates.
Oh, do you know what? Listen, mate, I'm going to go all the way back to the start of the season where I was digging out these fans that were digging him out for 45 minutes in pre-season. And it was so infuriating. I didn't understand it at all. For me, there were so many people that were on that thing of, oh, we should have got Raya. We weren't willing to pay extra money for him, this, that, the other. No, like Vicario is my boy. Honestly, this guy is so settled already. He's commanding that defense so comfortably. Yes, he might not always be comfortable on the ball, but he's always putting out great saves. And, there's this whole thing on Twitter at the minute where people take screenshots of his facial expressions during the game. And some of them are very funny, but I just love him. I just love him for someone who, what is he, 26? He's got all these years ahead of him. And it's been like James said perfectly there. It's been years, really, no disrespect to Hugo, but it's been years since we've had a goalkeeper where we actually, this soon in the season, we feel comfortable. We don't feel like he's going to make a mistake and cost us a game. It's so lovely to have that, and no, I love him, and he is only going to get better. And obviously it helps having Mickey and Romero in front of him, but when he is tested, he does a fantastic job with it. No, I love him, and I love this little underdog story thing we've got going on at the minute as well, because everyone's just going to keep sleeping on us. So when we've got players like Vicario, who people have disrespected, since he's come in, performing every week, it's beautiful, because then they go, oh wait, no, you have to give him time and respect him, and he is settled so well. He's been slept on, and I'm so happy to see him smashing it.
I feel really bad for calling him Gomez when he runs out of the goal sometimes, because you know what, he gave me Gomez vibes to start with, but he's definitely settled in. And obviously, Josh, I hate coming to you for all controversial matters, but I'm going to start with you. And that is because obviously Nketiah, the challenge that was on, and there's talk about it potentially being a red. People are saying, oh, it's not a red because there's not enough contact, blah, 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 blah. How did you kind of find that? Because my initial reaction was like, oh my God, he's got to be off, surely, Jesus.
Is it reckless? Yes. Is it endangering an opponent? Yes. Is it out of control? Yes. Did he make any attempt to try and win the ball? No. Therefore, it's quite plain and simple. He's gone in. Has he gone in with a stud leading, with a high foot? Yes. Doesn't matter what part of the body catches the goalkeeper. He's absolutely wiped him out. And people are saying, oh, yeah, just because he didn't catch him with his studs and break his leg and possibly end his career doesn't mean that it should be a red card. He still wiped him out with the other leg and the rest of his body. There was no attempt in the slightest to try and win the ball at all. I have no idea what was going through his head. There was a debate about it on Mail Sports podcast. It's all kicking off. It was Ian Ladyman and Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton said Nketiah knew what he was doing by missing him with his stud. And I just thought, I've never heard such nonsense in my life.
Well, that speed.
It was disgusting. It was a disgusting challenge, and he should have been off. It's as simple as that.
And again, it goes back to that whole thing, James, we've been talking about, the inconsistencies of refs, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the thing that I found, I found is that any still picture you got of that challenge, the ball is nowhere to be seen. And the zoom out on that is massive, and you still can't see the ball. That's how late it is. So that for me was just absolutely nuts. It was a definite red card. And it would be the other way around. I'd have to say it as well if it was the other way around, like Sonny on Raya, do you know what I mean, or something like that. It was just a definite red card. And that seems to be like this guy. Did he referee the Brentford game as well?
He looks familiar, yeah.
He gave them a penalty, didn't he? That didn't seem was a penalty for consistency. I didn't like his performance, to be honest with you. But I was also playing against Arteta. When did you see his movement right by
on the touchline? How is he getting away with this all the time?
He gets away with it all the time. He comes out of his box, doesn't he? So we won with a 2-man deficit. We drew with them at their place with a 2-man deficit. Do you know what I mean? Oh, and the VAR, so 3-man deficit.
Definitely, we're stocking it all up to play against Liverpool. It's got to come our luck in that game. But Connor, I just want to get your thoughts, obviously, on it as well, and obviously Arteta as well, because that's a valid point. I don't know how that he must have ants in his pants, because he is all over the touchline all the time.
I don't know how to explain this guy. He's so I just don't like him. And I know I'm not going to like him because he's at Arsenal. That's fine. But he is so like, there's just something about him. It's like this level of arrogance that is...
He's a prick, is what he is.
Yeah. He's like David Brent, I think, isn't he? But like, is that sort of like weird? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's in his own head like all the time. Very sort of... No, I don't know how he gets away with that at all. He gets away with it because... And, you know, I don't want to be that person, but I feel like there is a sort of narrative with top 6 teams where they would be more likely to get away with that than, say, if it was Thomas Frank doing it, for example, or I don't know, Rob Edwards doing it, you know, that sort of thing. So I think there's that as well. There's a bit of leeway on top 6 clubs. But yeah, I mean, the Nketiah challenge in general, no, it is reckless. And I agree, it's a red card. But ultimately, it goes back down to the same thing again, doesn't it? Where it always depends on the referee. This whole league is built on who's refereeing the game that day. Oh, okay, we've got this ref. Well, we'll send him off. But if we've got him, no, he's not going to send him off. It's insane. It is insane. The league should not work like that. It shouldn't be based on who you've got ref in that day. But unfortunately, it is. So we just have to hope that it does balance itself out.
Definitely. I think that's the thing we're all kind of hoping and praying for. But obviously Sonny did, I think it was Sonny, or was it? No, it was Madison that got man of the match. And Josh, I know we've mentioned a few players' names. Is there anybody else that you would say gets a rightful call for man of the match?
Mickey van der Ven.
Yes.
Daddy long legs.
Yes.
I've got him on the back of my shirt. I've worn it every game this season, and so far it's been good luck, and it's been this exact shirt. Yeah, I mean, he just grows with every game, doesn't he? He grows with every game. He outshone Romero, and normally Romero's the one that we're thinking he's our best defender by a mile, but I think it's going to raise Romero's level now because Van der Ven, he's so young, but he just plays with such maturity and he calms things down. And of course he uses his pace, but the way he actually reads the game and the way he progresses the ball as well is really positive to see. So yeah, I thought he was excellent. Arsenal didn't look like they were doing anything really around Mickey van der Ven. All of the danger came from the wings, if anywhere. None of it was Mickey van der Ven's territory. So, yeah, I mean, just another brilliant performance from him. And another one that I think probably went under the radar yesterday was Basuma, who was once again just unbelievable. I mean, his level this season, he just gets better and better and better. So, yeah, great 2 shouts, I think. And also, actually, a player that I'm quite harsh on and I think is quite inconsistent, but I thought Kulusevski had a really good game yesterday as well. I thought the way that he carried the ball and the way that he kept running right until the very end and made things happen. There was one pass in particular that he made, I want to say it was Richarlison, but he just threads this incredible ball through. There might have even been Sonny, actually. I think it was Sonny. And Sonny hit the side netting.
Yeah,
but it was just a ridiculous pass. I thought Kulu was great. So yeah, those would be my kind of 3 alternative man of the matches.
No, great shout. So I think, like I said, I think Kulusevski's been better since he's come back from international break. I think getting that goal in international break has done the world of good. I mean, James, is there another honourable mention, or do you want to mention the same player again?
Well, yeah, I'll put it with Van der Ven. He was my man of the match. I think he was absolutely brilliant. I think that the reason that Romero's only had 1 yellow card this season is down to 2 things. One, I think Ange's given him the captaincy, and I think the way that he talks to these people is, did he say something similar to Basuma, a certain leader of the pack, but you can't be late. I think he probably put his arm around him and went, okay, if you're going to be a captain or vice captain, this. I think that's one of the reasons. And the other reason, instead of babysitting Dyer, he's got Mickey van der Ven next to him. So that gives him the best compliment as well. I think that's why. Sorry to dig him out, but it's a huge difference. Again, imagine watching them last 20 minutes and we'll have Dyer at the back. And I don't know, man, that would just be with a roof stress. So I think that's the best compliment I can give to Van der Ven, is that's one of the reasons that Romero's bookings have gone down. I can't choose between them at the minute. I was on a podcast with talking to Kevin Campbell about defenders, and I said to him, he said, no way that Van der Ven's up as good as their defenders. I said, you watch out. He'll be one of the best defenders this season. And he gave me a bet over the screen. So
I'll smash that one in when it comes in, because it's coming in.
yeah, brilliant.
But no, there's some great shouts as well, and I think I was mistaken. It wasn't Madison; it was Sonny. That everybody keeps telling me. I mean, both of them were class anyway. But Connor, is there anybody else you want to add to the mix, or again, was it the same kind of guys?
I want to heap more praise on Mickey. I don't think there's. I feel like you could just have a podcast talking about Mickey van der Ven. Honestly, this guy, like, what is he? 22. He's so. Like what someone said earlier, he is Rolls Royce. He purely is Rolls Royce. Like, to settle that early, to be that young and feel so comfortable on the ball. You know, you're never worried when he's on the ball. Like, all the time, you'd be worried Dyer's going to get tackled. And you don't. The last thing you want is your centre back getting tackled. He is so calm and assured, and I just love him. And he feels, again, like all of them, they just all feel happy to be here. They all feel like they want to buy into this, and we just keep getting that vibe. And you know, we have that spine. We've got the spine. The spine is there, and we've just got to keep building on it. No, I love him. I cannot say enough words for Mickey van der Ven. What a superstar. I love him. It's him.
He really is. I call him Daddy Longlegs, man. Honestly, he can't have any more green beans, or he'll be like the size of a giant. But no, he is class. Like you all kind of said, I think he is. I don't say going under the radar, because all of us Spurs fans know that he's class, but like you've all kind of said, I think he's one to watch out, definitely. But obviously, we have got another game coming up thick and fast, and that is obviously Liverpool. Now, Connor, I'm going to start with you first. Obviously, because we've got this draw under our belt against obviously the place that we don't normally like to go, how are you kind of feeling going in against Liverpool?
I'm not scared. I'm feeling good. Genuinely, I for me at the minute, the players are playing with no pressure. Like, they are. It's purely just, as we've all said this season. You know, a lot of people going, "Oh, you know, we got to be getting top 4 this, that." No, we've started this season saying no pressure. It's Ange's first season. It's a project. Let it roll. I don't feel the pressure at all. I feel, let Liverpool come, let City come, let whoever come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm not worried at all. I feel like, you know, like James said earlier, Ange is not afraid to stick with his system, and the system works, and the players are already bought into it. And, you know, and the main thing as well is we aren't missing any superstars. I know there's a slight worry with Madison, but, you know, I feel like even if we were missing Madison, I'd be more worried. But I'm just so bought into this at the minute that I'm not scared with Liverpool coming. Why can't we take the 3 points? You know, it's a real test for us, but we want to showcase ourselves. I think Liverpool, as you know, something that isn't spoken enough about with Liverpool is defensively, they look awful. They genuinely look awful. They are leaking goals like there's no tomorrow. The Wolves game, for example, you know, they could have been 2-3 down at half time. Yeah, for me, they are there for the taking. I think we're likely to concede goals, of course, because Liverpool have got so much firepower up top, but I'm not scared because we've got Mickey van der Ven, Romero, Adoji, Porro, Emerson, whoever. My boy Vicario in goal. I'm not scared. No, not at all. I'm buzzing. I think we definitely get something from the game, without a doubt.
I love that. And I think the thing is, because we've gone to the Emirates, and again, from a losing position, we've managed to come back and still get points, James, it puts you in a good stead, especially to be at home against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, I'm similar to Connor. Like the thing about if Madison was injured, that stayed in my head today quite a bit. That would, without Bentancur being back, because Bentancur would be a great addition, obviously. Something like he's obviously come back. That'd be a slight concern, but it wouldn't make me think that we couldn't still go and win it. I think that they call them the Great Wall of Tottenham already, don't they? Van der Ven, Romero, Vicario, the Great Wall of Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? I think again, we're going to turn up without any pressure, with being the underdog, with being a bit like, maybe even, obviously wanted this to happen. Maybe even if we won at the Emirates, it might put some more pressure on for Liverpool. But obviously, I'd still much rather take that. But there's no pressure on us, and we are like the underdogs going into these games. We've been written off by everybody when that player left for Munich. So as a mid-table team, or like a top 8 at best and stuff, and I think that's going to quite quickly change for people's minds. And I'm absolutely not scared for Liverpool at home. No, I'm actually, like, I guess you guys are the same, looking forward to watching it as well. Looking forward to counting down the minutes until Ange ball comes again, even in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I reckon we'll definitely get something out of it. Would I take a draw? No, and that should show you. I don't think many of us fans would take a draw at home to Liverpool, which is crazy.
That is mad, especially like where we were last. I think that's the maddest thing. It's the transition from Conte ball to Ange ball. It's literally been a click of the fingers, and we're already playing amazing football and having this confidence. I mean, Josh, obviously for you, we've said Madison, it could be a potential blow if he is injured. Someone's in the chat said potentially put Kulu as a number 10. What would kind of be the change for you if you were Ange? How would you kind of set up if Madders was sadly not to feature?
I don't want to think about it, firstly.
I'm asking you all the horrible questions tonight.
He did, play on. So that was an encouraging sign. He wasn't in a protective boot from what I could see. He seemed to be fine. But yes, I think I'm going to be really bold, and people are going to really disagree with me for saying this. But I would put Højbjerg in, and I would put him further forward. People might completely disagree with that, but I see the way he plays for Denmark, where he plays almost like a 10 at times, and he scores goals from outside the area. You know that he can also drop in, and I think you could interchange those three midfielders. And it would probably give Basuma a bit more freedom to get forward as well. But I think for a game like that, again, Liverpool are going to try and hit you on the break. You're going to need to have players that are good at reading the game, win the tackles early, and Højbjerg's fitness can't be questioned. The way he presses can't be questioned. So a little bit niche and a little bit left field, but I would personally do that. And I would keep Kulusevski and Son in the middle. And then I think actually who we play on the left is the kind of real point that I'm not quite sure about, because I like Solomon. I really like Solomon, but I just get the sense from him a little bit sometimes that he's a little bit weak. He finds himself, sometimes running into players, which, he's obviously new. It's going to take him a bit of time, but Johnson, again, I think he needs more minutes to get used to it. So probably go Johnson again and give him a go. But I guess with Liverpool, it's really tough. I'm scared. I'm terrified. It's Liverpool.
Is Johnson not injured? Is Johnson injured?
I don't know. He went down, didn't he? But I guess it's just cramp or something. I'm not actually sure.
It looked like cramp, but also he's not had that many minutes. But I guess with Liverpool, though, it's different to other teams, because Liverpool, we were talking about the inconsistency of referees. One thing that is very consistent is the decisions, the very dubious decisions that consistently go Liverpool's way in games. And Jurgen Klopp's another one that loves to get right into the face of the fourth official, run onto the pitch, all of the stuff that can't stand. And they also look just very, very good this year. Yeah, I mean, imagine if we can come through that game unscathed. If we can win the game or draw the game, but preferably win the game, then I think everyone's perception of us as a team completely changes. But I said at the start of the season, I said I think we finished 5th, and I said that I'd love to see us just beat the teams in and around us, the teams that are competing where we are and the teams that are below us, home and away, and let the season be defined on those games. And then not that the teams that we play, the bigger teams, are free hits, but that there's less pressure on those games. Because to beat, say, if you were to finish 7th or 6th, you've got 26 games, right? That's 13 teams home and away. That's 78 points, which is almost certainly 3rd place, 4th, at least 4th, probably 3rd. So to have already beaten United, to get a point at the Emirates, which was normally 0 points, and to potentially, if we can go on and get 3 points, I think the atmosphere is going to be really important on Saturday. If we can get 3 points out of that, then who knows what we can achieve. It's actually quite scary.
It is. It's a strange place to be, because I think we were all kind of under the illusion that this season we're going to take it slow. We're going to see what happens, because it can't get any worse, surely. But Connor, it's totally had the opposite effect, and I'm here for it. But like Josh says, it's kind of made me not scared, but worried if we do get, which is mad to think if we do win. But it's like, does that mean the expectation of Tottenham goes up a level, do you think?
I think that I think the expectation will go up from others, but I think we've got to be real with ourselves. And well, I don't know, it's a tough one because you remember what Andrew's saying about people, fans getting carried away. He's like, no, let them. Like it's spot on, it. Let him, and that's what we love about him, because he's so like, no, fans can do what they want. Let them get excited. Let them feel like we can achieve anything, because that's how it should be, and that's the whole vibe right now. No, I think the expectations will rise if we do win the game. But I don't want to think about that. I don't care what others think of us. UCC, the thing that come out before the season, what was it? One of the betting companies had us as like, I think they took the most bets for us to get relegated this season. It's hilarious. Honestly, it's so funny that people have this perception of us. So let them think what they want. Let them think that we can be in a title race. The difference is we are just enjoying the ride, and that's all it is. Take it game by game and roll from there. But one thing I am is just buzzed. Like James was saying, a little bit earlier as well, about being excited. That is something we did not have last season. To just be in the middle of the week and go, you know what? I can't wait for handball. I can't wait to watch Spurs again. How good is that? How good does it feel to just be so excited to watch Tottenham again? I love it, honestly. So that's, for me, that's the main thing. We beat Liverpool, fantastic. But I'm not going to change my expectations. I'm going to roll with it and let it ride and just enjoy it, because that's what this is about. We just need to enjoy this, because and I don't like digging out Mourinho and Conte, but I think this is just so vastly different from that. We need to just enjoy it while we've got it, and just be happy. And you know what, fans, let's get carried away if we want. But no, for me, it's game by game, and I'm buzzed regardless to just watch us play again. It's beautiful.
And it's also nice that Hollie's Hotspurs is not a therapy session, because last year it was literally a therapy session all the time. But James, I kind of want to get the last point off of you, because obviously you are the man in the stadium that creates that energy before the game, during the game, and after the game. So for you, have you, obviously with your Big Andrew song and stuff, have you seen? And it's probably a stupid question, but have you obviously felt that energy in the stadium, and it's definitely one that you think is going to stay as well?
It's night and day. So it's unbelievable difference. So when I first did that, we was at the Shelf Bar. That's where we're going to be for the Liverpool game as well. And they, at that moment, the fans had only seen a 2-2 draw with Brentford, and the fans were so loud that we have monitors and a drummer, and I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear what was going on. So we had to turn it. It was feeding back quite a bit. Everything was feeding. Drummer couldn't hear what he's doing. He's hitting the drums. He can't hear what he's doing. And that stayed throughout. And I'm thinking, this is after a 2-2 draw. This is pre-game, Man United. Pre-game. And that has gone just through the stratosphere as well. So it's gone crazy. I mean, the song itself, from a personal level, is like, it's a dream. But I'm more impressed, and my job is to try and create some sort of energy to go out to the ground. That's all I care about. I don't care about the personal stuff. Like it's a nice little bonus, but I want my team to win. I want to do everything for my team to get 3 points. That's my full focus. So to watch that and help even slightly take it out into the ground, I'm more proud of that than the song. And the fans are making it easy for me, because the best fans in world football, Tottenham fans. You know what I mean? There's a certain coolness, a Tottenham fan from someone else. And yeah, they're making it easy for me. They just wanted to see good football, and I wanted to see they're having them getting their Tottenham back, and everybody is in a place they should be. And I'm the same as Ange. Let them dream. Do you know what I mean? Should be all dreaming, man. And it's night and day. It's the only thing it's got close to is the 2019 final when I did a game. I think it's against Everton. I did a home game, and that was so loud because of what happened. But this is probably louder. It's crazy.
That's amazing. And like I say, I think, like you say, with your songs and how everybody's come together, I think it's a true testament to us as fans have waited a long time to enjoy our football again. And now it's here, like you said, we all want to enjoy it. But no, hopefully we can enjoy it at the weekend as well. It'd be lovely to take 3 points, to take a draw. I'm really looking forward to it. But we'll go around the table and say our goodbyes. I'll start with Josh first. Josh, thank you again so much for coming. I'm sorry that I gave you loads of controversial questions.
No. It's all good. It's all good.
But where can everybody find you?
Yeah, at Josh Hughes TV on Twitter, just constantly talking Tottenham and occasionally sharing some other bits and pieces as well, and on Twitter Spaces. And thank you so much for having me on, Hollie.
No, that's all right. No, like I say, thank you. And I'm so glad that these aren't therapy sessions anymore, because I couldn't do them anymore. And thank you to Connor as well. Connor, thank you again for joining me. Where can everybody find you?
Thank you. No, honestly, it's always a pleasure. You can find me on the old Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, CC's the Clavier. It's I'm famous for parodies. I wish I wasn't, to be honest. I think people, I actually am just a football fan and stuff. But yeah, parodies, rants, not ranting anymore though. There's just so much to be happy about. But yeah, I will always say I'm pointing in the wrong direction, but you are close to. I always do it. Goes point the wrong way. Close to 3K, is it still? Are we
Getting there?
Hit that subscribe button. Keep backing this. Hollie's Hotspurs is the way. We're getting there. So, but no, thanks again. It's always a pleasure.
No, thank you, Connor. And James as well. It's been an honour and a pleasure to have you on. Like I say, I butcher your songs every week, but thank you so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you if they don't already?
The Voice of Spurs across Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, the same. The Voice of Spurs across a lot. And I'll be playing at the Shelf Bar for pre and post game against Liverpool, which is East Stand, Level 1, Block 120. We'll start around just after general admission and go through till just before kickoff. But thank you for having me. I love this. Great channel. And so I'm an honour for me to be on here. So thank you very much. And good to meet you guys. You're all amazing, man.
No, thank you. And thanks to everybody that's tuned in, that's watched as well. Like I say, I'm going to try and do my Wednesday show if I can be organised. So make sure you tune in for that one. If not, obviously, we will be back for Hollie's Hotspurs Live next Monday with new guests, hopefully to dissect a win against Liverpool, because that would be lovely. But until next time, come on, you Spurs.